Okay, our files have been completed. They've been all exported to proxy files. This is the project that I have the high quality files in. I'm going to actually generate an editing project now. I'm going to close this. We can save that if we want, but we're probably not going to come back to this project file again. Okay, so I'm going to start a new project here now, and this is going to be basically our prep project that we're going to be sending to the editor. If I'm still doing like assistant editing responsibilities here, getting everything organized, I'm just going to save it in my same folder here, and we're going to call this taste for something edit. Or we can even call this sync if we want to go through the project. We'll call this sync and deliver an editing project for the editor. So this is where I'm going to be doing the syncing of the audio. So I'm going to import my proxy first of all. Let's take a look at the proxy. Here's my proxy folder. We'll just import that folder. And we open this up, double click, and there we go. I'm going to put this in a timeline, kind of look at the footage here, look at our dailies. Notice no audio, but we got a time code window burned into the bottom here, and we press play, and it plays back nicely and smoothly. And as you grab this and scrub through it, it just responds really fast and quick because these are ProRes files, which are optimized, or are considered what they call optimized files, and they are a little bit lower resolution and a lot less color data. So these things play back really, really well. They're going to edit really quickly and be really, really smooth. That's the process encoding these two proxy files. I would recommend, especially if you're going to Resolve to do the color grading, don't use Premiere Pro's internal proprietary proxy workflow. This is kind of the old school method that's still being used on a lot of big professional projects. So I'd say use this method to generate your proxy files. Anyway, so kind of the process that I like to use here is I like to grab all the footage that I need to sync up here. And these are working with the proxy files here. See the time code burned on here. So these are proxy files. These can immediately be linked back to the high quality footage at any time I want to, and it will match perfectly up because the time code's the same, the length is the same, the names are the same. They're just different files, basically mirroring the high quality files, but they're much less quality and a lot less bulky. In fact, if we take a look at the size here, the ProRes 444 came into almost about 200 gigabytes, and now we look at the proxy files here to see how big these are, and these come to like, 5 gigabytes for the entire project. If you think about like the DPX files, which were originally over a terabyte for this much footage, and now you have down to 5 gigabytes, which is really small, makes it really quick and easy to transfer. In fact, you can grab this folder, put it on a hard drive, take it home, do the editing, and you don't have to take all those big bulky files with you, and you can just do the editing with the proxy footage. Come back to your work or wherever you have the high quality footage, or on the hard drive, we have the high quality footage, and relink it to the high quality footage. All right, but let's grab our footage here. I'm going to move over this window and hit tilde, which brings it to full screen. And I don't need to sync up. There is no sync sound associated with these. There's no sync sound associated with these chip chart files down here. I called those color charts earlier, but now I've renamed them to chip chart unintentionally. Oops. So I'm going to grab my files here, and the ones that need sync sound, I'm going to drag them and drop them into my timeline. I have a timeline that I had one of my dailies in, but I'm going to grab the top one here so it goes in order, and drag and drop it here, and now everything is in order from beginning to end. And I have 3 different scenes here. So I've got scene 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to import my audio. Here's my audio folder. I'm going to select that and hit import folder. That's where the audio is saved from the sound cart. So I'm going to open up this folder, do some quick organization here to get rid of these extra folders. And there we go. I've got my folders ready to go. These should be mono files that they shot it in. And this is a mono file. This one is not a clip. This was a test, so I can get rid of that. And this first one is another test, so I'm going to get rid of that. We should be able to see a slate. There we go. There's the slate noise right there. So I'm going to move my mouse here. I'm going to grab this playhead and drag it over to right before the audio starts. That's probably where the audio starts right there. So I'm going to press play.
Speed. Scene 1, take 1.
And there's the marker. So I'm going to arrow this over to the right, arrow, and get it right where it claps. I'm going to do this to each individual file. I'm going to put an endpoint right there on that file. I'm going to double click on the next one and get it to the same place here. Listen to it.
Speed. Scene 1, take 2.
And I can even rename these within the software if I want to. So this first one I'm going to call audio scene. I'm going to call this audio 1, take 1. And I'm going to select A and copy that because I'm going to reuse that name. And I'm going to hit enter. It'll jump down to the next one, which is this file here. I'm going to paste, and this is take 2. So this is going to be easy to match this stuff up here, but I'm going to continue to do this till all my audio files are synced up, till all my audio files are named, and all my audio files have an endpoint on the sync marker. Let's do one more.
Speed. Scene 1, take 3.
And get it right on the frame. I'm going to arrow over right where I hear that clap. right there, endpoint, and the name of that was
Scene 1, take 3.
Scene 1, take 3. So I'm going to click on this and rename it, Control V to paste, arrow back, and type in 3. And I'm going to continue to do that until all these are done, then we'll come back and show the next process. Okay, guys, all the naming has been finished here. All these audio clips have been named for audio, the scene number and the take number. So these should all coincide with the ones on the slates here. So what we're going to do here is we're going to start editing. We're going to start syncing these up. I'm going to press play on my video here. And I'm going to get it right to where that sync marker hits. I'm going to arrow backwards, arrow forwards, one frame at a time, and get it right there is where that clap noise is starting right there. So I'm going to go back, and this is scene 1, take 1. Here's audio to scene 1, take 1. I'm going to double click on it, and I'm just going to hit period, and it will drop that audio down in there, and now this audio is synced up to the video. Let's play through this.
No salt.
So there we go. We've got, and that is synced up. We can see the lips matching up there. A couple things I'm going to do. If you want to be nice to your editor, this is a cool thing to do. If not, you don't have to do this necessarily. You can sync these two together, and they won't hear any audio before this, but you can drag your audio back time it so you can hear the pre-roll.
Scene 1, take 1.
And now we're going to go to the end of this, and I'm going to cut this off here, trim that back. So now the audio and the video are exactly the same length here. Not entirely necessary, but it's helpful for the editor. Just gets things kind of nice and cleaned up. If you're in a professional environment, it's helpful. So I'm going to do this to the same here. I'm going to do this to the next clip here. I'm in my timeline, so I'm going to press play. Wait for the clap. I'm going to arrow back, arrow forward, get it right on the first frame when that hits. Double click on my next audio file. This is scene 1, take 2, and I have double clicked on scene 1, take 2. This already has an endpoint here. All I have to do is hit period to drop it in, trim this back, get it to make it so it's exact same length, and continue on. Let's do this one more time. Play through it. Right there is where it's hitting. So I'm going to put, usually if it's kind of blurred like this, I consider that the first portion of the sound starting right there. So I'm going to go here, double click on audio 1, take 3. So 1, take 3, 1, take 3. I've got the endpoint already, period to drop it in, trim this backwards, arrow up, and trim this one back. So now I'm going to keep doing this until I get all this audio synced up, and then we'll come back and show you the next step. Okay, I've gone through, I've got all the audio synced up with the visuals here. Quick disclaimer on this, by the way. Right now the footage is looking a little bit flat. What we had them do when they encoded, or when they transferred, when they did this telecine from the frame-by-frame telecine to digital. So they asked what sort of color profile we wanted. We told them we wanted it kind of like one of the more flat profiles that they had, so it was more true to the way the original film looked. So it hasn't been color treated yet. This we will do when we get to that. You'll notice this will improve significantly. Right now, a lot of the footage in here looks fairly flat, meaning it's there's not very much contrast to it. So we will get to that when we get to the color grading process. But anyway, let's look at our syncing here that we've done. So we've got all these clips here, and I've got all these different take numbers that have the slates on them. And then you notice there's one clip that doesn't have audio to it, and then you go to the end, and you notice there's another clip that doesn't have audio to it. And one thing you'll notice here, let's make this a large screen here. The hand here is inside the slate, which means there is no sync sound to this. This was what they call in the business an MOS shot without minus optical sound. Basically, is what they referred to. It's without sound, so it's just the visual running. So they didn't need sound for this. This is just kind of a little opening shot here. And same at the end, we had some footage run for credits, and ooh, look at all the gore on the ground. Yes, this is a bloody movie, but yeah. So it's kind of a You'll see it when the movie's finished. So anyway, there we go. So let's go on to the next step here. This is the last step that we need to do to get this prepped for the editor. We have 3 different scenes here. We have scene 1, 2, and 3. Those are going to be divided into individual scene folders. What we're going to do is start selecting these and merging them. In fact, I like to create a shortcut for merge. I will show you that here in a second, but let's show you what we're going to do. I'm going to go to my timeline, select my timeline. Shift 3 will jump to your timeline, by the way. And I'm going to hit the letter D. Right now, my playhead is at the very beginning of the timeline. If it's not, you can just hit home. Your home key takes you to the beginning. D will select those 2 clips that they're touching. I'm hitting plus to zoom up a little bit here. We'll select these 2 clips, the audio and the video that the playhead is touching. Now I'm going to go. Now you can right click on this and go to merge clips. And I'm going to name this clip. I'm going to rename this clip scene 1, take 1. I'm going to take all that info off. I'm just going to go scene 1, take 1 is what that file is now called. Hit OK, and that has been, those two files merged together have been called Scene 1, Take 1. I'm going to hit Shift 3 to jump back to my timeline, arrow down, D to select, and now I'm going to create a shortcut so I don't have to right-click on these clips. I'm going to go to Edit, Keyboard Shortcuts, and I'm going to type in my search engine here, Merge, and there's no shortcut for Merge Clips, which is odd. But I'm going to select that. I'm going to go over to Shortcut, click on it, and it says, what do you want this to be called? So it's waiting for me to do a key combination. Control-Alt-G is one that's not used, or Command-Alt-G on a Mac. You can do Control-Alt-G, and now I hold all those down, and now that is my shortcut. Hit OK. So now it's going to be kind of quick. Control-Alt-G. Those are selected, and this is Scene 1, Take 2. Hit OK. Shift 3, arrow down, D to select, Control-Alt-G, arrow back, Scene 1, Take 3. And I'm going to keep doing this here. Shift 3, arrow down, D, Control-Alt-G, arrow back. And you can keep them name merged if you want to. I kind of like these nice and cleaned up like that, so it's just simply the file names. But I'm going to go through this whole timeline. By the way, when I get to these clips here, what I'm going to do, since I'm not merging them, what I can simply do to name them is grab this clip, drag it over, hold down Control, that little subclip thing that I showed you before, that trick. So right now I've grabbed this with the mouse, dragged it over, hovering. Before I let go, I hold down Control, then let go on my mouse, and now I can let go of Control. And it's going to say, what do you want this to be named? I want the subclip named 1H, Take 1. Okay. But I'm going to do this. I'm going to sync the rest of these audio files. I'm going to move over the MOS ones as subclips, and then we'll come back and look at the next step. Okay, come back, and now I am in, I've got all these synced over here, all these files synced. The one that I haven't done yet is this one without sound here. I just wanted to mention the shortcut for creating a subclip. You don't have to, you can drag this over and hold down Control and do that little trick, or probably the easier way is to select the clip and just do Control-U. Control-U is a subclip, and now you can name this. I'm just naming them after just the name of the clips. And there we go. And everything's been named. Everything's moved over here and has been merged and named. You can see that I've got audio and video merged with these icons right there. And then this one's just a film strip, which is just a subclip, and as is this one at the bottom here. So now we're going to organize this for the editor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab all the Scene 1 files here. This is the first scene. I'm going to grab all those. I'm going to drag them down and drop them into a bin or a folder. And we're going to call this Scene 1. Scene 1. And do the same to Scene 2. Drag and drop it into a folder. Scene 2. And grab the one file that's in Scene 3 and put that in a folder and call it Scene 3. These are all organized on a Script Supervisor log sheet with all the shots named, and explains everything that's on them as well, which we'll show you when we get into editing. But right now, everything is organized. We can arrange those by names there. And I can actually open up, let's open up this sequence right here, because now I no longer need this I'm going to save everything here that I've done by hitting Control-S. Now that that's saved, let's save this as a copy here. I'm going to save this as a copy, and we're going to call this TFS Edit. And I'm going to send this one TFS Edit. I'm going to say this is the one I'm going to send to the editor here. If I'm the assistant editor, in this instance I'm doing the same, both of them, but if I'm sending this off to an editor, that is all organized, ready to go for those scenes. And last thing I want to do to this project here for the editor is I want to get rid of this sync timeline here. So I can just grab all my footage out of it, delete it. Let's go to the beginning, home, so it's all ready to go, and rename this Scene 1 Edit. Call this maybe Final Edit, whatever they want to use it as. So we'll just call that Final Edit. So everything's nicely organized here. They can just ignore these folders, but the editors are going to open up Scene 1, 2, and 3 folders and do the editing. So if we open this up here, let's double click on it. And it opens it up in its own scene folder here. In fact, I'm going to put this Scene 1 folder as a thumbnail. Let's tilde over this, and I'm going to tell it to sort by view sort, so it's in alphabetical order, and I can increase my thumbnail size. And there we go, and I've got all these scenes, all these shots ready to go, ready to edit. So I'm just going to go back to the main project window, close that up, Control-S to save, and I'm going to deliver that to the editor for the edit, which is the next portion. So the next episode, we will go over how to edit a scene of dialogue, which this is. So thanks for watching, and tune in on the next episode.